Even after the rally, our V50 wants some more work to get done to it. Welcome back to the Auto Obscure Garage. Chadwick with you again for another installment of Project V50. That's our 2005 Volvo T50, oh my God. T5 all-wheel drive manual. It's been a long one, guys. I'm sorry, right up front. Anyway, the rally was awesome. This thing absolutely shocked me. I still can't believe it, right? It's so good to drive when pushed. Just shocking how good that is for the price point. But it needs some more work, so we're gonna do some additional mechanical touch-ups to it. Now, keep in mind, the budget doesn't matter anymore. We can go crazy. We can blow a ton of money on it, but we don't wanna do that. We're still gonna do some frugal repairs, but we're gonna do the right repairs. So there are some things that need to be addressed. Important things that keep this car running. So let's get in the garage and get a little dirty. First up is to remedy this geyser that the V50 started on day 2 of the rally. I showed you guys in the last episode that it was actually a plastic part of the heater core hoses. This is a known failure point. And although my rally friends were able to bestow upon me a 17mm socket and some clamps to make a, I guess you could say temporary fix, which actually held really well, just wasn't pretty. It was time to make this a more permanent solution. Now, in the future, I'll do this on all these Volvo P1 cars to fix the plastic connectors. And it's so easy, guys. You just get a length of copper piping, really thin plumber piping from Home Depot, Lowe's, whatever hardware store you want to use. Cut it to size, get some real good clamps, and just put it in there. It fits back in the bracket. It's an awesome fit, and there's no way that's gonna leak. Then a little bit of matte black paint on there will help it blend into your engine bay and not stand out. As you can see, if you really peek in there, you can see it, but it looks pretty OEM if you're not looking for it. So that's the fix. Super easy and permanent solution to those brittle ass pieces of plastic. So after noticing that my steering felt a little vague, a little delay from when I turn and what happens, I could hear some whining and some kind of grumbling going on, and has to be this power steering pump here. It's kind of an interesting setup on these Volvos, these P1 cars, because it's different between the early ones and the later ones, which I was actually kind of surprised to find out about. But obviously, if you're getting some kind of whine, some kind of noise, obviously check the fluid, guys. Start there. Start with the cheapest option. Don't jump to power steering pump immediately. My fluid's topped off and perfect. I have no leaks. I have 188,000 miles. Is it 189? I don't know. We're up there. So that's our culprit. It just feels like 100% power steering pump failing. I'm gonna show you guys how to replace that. I've got a rebuilt Volvo one coming. They are kind of pricey for a new one, so I got a rebuilt one at a good cost. We're gonna slap it on this car, but I'm gonna show you how to take it off. My approach is gonna be, so since this is an early P1 car, the reservoir is separate from the actual pump. Yes, it's an electronic steering pump, and it needs hydraulic fluid. It's weird, but we're gonna whirl with it. It's Volvo, it's gotta be weird, right? That's why we're here. So it's a 2-piece system. You can see the reservoir up here. It's got a hose that drops off, and the whole rest of the unit is actually, if you go into the car, let me see if I can show you. Right behind the passenger front wheel here on the V50, and you can see that's the power steering pump right here, this little access area. Got a little bracket in there. As you can see, it's super not accessible from underneath. We're gonna pull this side panel here. It's the wheel well liner, and that should allow us enough access to get it out of there. Hopefully. It's pretty crammed in there, but yeah, let's see if we can do that. Let's take the wheel off, then take that wheel liner off. All right, 19mm. Let's get this wheel off of here so we can access that pump. And behind the wheel, we have our wheel liner. It requires little teeny 7mm Torx to get off. So let's go ahead and start busting that loose. So with that wheel well liner kind of pulled out of the way, you can see our pump, nice and clean view. Doesn't look bad, you can't tell just by looking at it. Yeah, it's a little dirty. It looks original. It is the OEM part, not an aftermarket part. So we got a couple things we need to do to get that out of there. Got a hard line here, so we'll get a line wrench on that. I don't know the size, we'll have to measure. regular hose clamp to pull this one off. Then we have the huge hose, well, the thicker hose that goes up to the remote reservoir on this one. Now remember, some of them have the reservoir right here. Those the later P1 cars, these early ones have the two-part system. Now mine is not leaking, there's no leaks whatsoever. So I'm gonna go ahead and keep my upper reservoir, keep this hose. The rebuilt unit I bought just comes with the pump itself, so I gotta reuse my lines. I'll check to see if these guys are all in healthy condition. They do look to be pretty dang nice. So we'll take that out of there. I think the pump itself can just come out of this mount right here with this, looks like a 10 millimeter, maybe? It probably has another mounting point somewhere back in there. Yes, it does. So we'll take these hoses off first. Of course, have something to catch that. Power steering fluid is gonna come out of here. So, especially when we disconnect this hose and all these hoses. So yeah, we're gonna make a little bit of a mess. Let's get a little catch pan underneath and start taking this thing apart. Probably gonna spill power steering fluid everywhere, but whatever. 19 millimeter line wrench to get this hard line off. It's actually not on there that tight at all. I could see in rusty areas how that one could be a pain in the butt. All right, let's see which way this fluid's gonna go. It's gonna hit down here and just kind of go everywhere. This might need to pop off later. Yeah, we'll pull that out. We'll wait till after. These hoses can be pried off, and then there's the two 10 millimeters. This guy's gonna dump a ton. I just know it. Oh yeah, he's got some. That's the whole reservoir. I probably could have emptied that reservoir from the top, you know? Versus let it coat everything. That's not a bad idea. Let me go up there and do that. Well, I took the cap off the reservoir and that really got it flowing. You know, in retrospect, at the beginning I said we have to take off the reservoir. Now, if yours is cracked or leaking, yeah, you're gonna have to replace that, but ours is fine. We're not replacing it. So I'm actually not even gonna touch that. We're just gonna leave it right there and have the hose dangling down so we can connect the new one. Make it as easy as we can on ourselves. Yeah, I got power steering fluid everywhere. That's awesome. It's got a unique smell, doesn't it? This Volvo specific power steering fluid, I guess. All right, most of the fluid's out. Let's get our 10 millimeter and start getting the mountain brackets. I only see two. In case it was hard to see what I was doing, I was taking these top nuts off. There's two rubber grommet kind of things and two nuts that come off each side. I think that's it for mounting hardware. Oh my God, is there a third one in the back here? That would be an absolute nightmare if that was true. It feels like there is, huh? So there are 13 millimeter bolts underneath all these brackets. I'm gonna try backing those out and see if that works. I removed the three 13 millimeter bolts from underneath. These little happy guys right here. Let's see if we can jiggle something loose here. Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. Oh. There we go, let's strip that out. All right, kind of taking some of the bracket with me, that's okay. Oh, there are sensors in the back and they don't have a lot of slack on them, so let's pop these off. There we go, one of them off. Never been off the car. Oh, we're making progress. Oh, what am I hooked on here? There we go. Power steering pump removed. Holy crap. Oh, what an operation. Okay. In retrospect, guys, I don't think you need to remove the top parts. I think you can just go right for these bottom ones and lift it out that way. I'm gonna try to install that bracket on the new pump and install it that way and see if it could be done. If so, that means you can remove it the same way. Maybe you don't have to undo these two top ones. The old power steering pump, next to the new one. This is a factory rebuilt one, and it actually is pretty dang clean. These things get pretty gnarly, as you can imagine, and this one's cleaned up nicely. Obviously rebuilt internals, should work just fine. I put the old bracket on there, she's ready to go. We just need to put those 13 millimeters underneath. And then it's all about wedging it back in there, connecting all the lines. So let's do it. Let's put the new pump in. Okay, we got our new, well, rebuilt power steering pump in here. I'm gonna clean it up a little bit, but looks great. All the hoses are connected. Everything's bolted down, all three of those 13 millimeter bolts. We should technically be good to go as far as the install goes. Next up, we gotta follow this line up to our reservoir under there, and we're gonna fill the car with brand new power steering fluid. We do have, I mean, of course we do. the Volvo brand power steering oil here. We're gonna put that in there. That should be enough for the job, 1 liter. And then we're gonna do a little power steering kind of system flush deal where we get it through the whole system. But yeah, let's top it off. All right, it is time to add our Volvo OEM power steering oil to our power steering pump. We're gonna pour a little bit in here just to make sure we tighten up all our hoses because we don't wanna see any leaks. That'd be really bad. And this stuff is not cheap. So let's put a little bit in, see how that looks, and then we'll fill it up the reservoir, and then we're gonna turn the car on, turn the power steering full lock to lock, keep doing that as the fluid drains in, and totally fill the system. So let's go nice and slow. This is an interesting green color. Okay, that's enough to see if there's any leaks. I'm looking down by the pump. Sounds like it's going in there just fine. All right, let's go ahead and continue to fill. So now that your reservoir is getting full, what you want to do now is turn on the vehicle, and we're going to steer lock to lock a few times. The fluid levels should drop. Okay. If everything was done correctly, you'll notice our fluid level has dropped after we went back left to right with the steering wheel and the car running. I also checked the pump to make sure it wasn't leaking. We're good there. So time to add more fluid. We're going to keep topping it off, keep going back and forth until it's at the max level. Now after cycling lock to lock for quite a few times, we're filled right up to the max line. You want to make sure you're not overfilling it or underfilling it. You also want to check out if you don't have any leaks. We're going to put the cap back on. We're full of fresh new power steering fluid. We don't have any leaks. The pump sounded great, made a little whining noise, which is what you want to hear. You don't want anything too loud. Obviously, that's a bad scenario. But just a little bit of whine is okay. And obviously I'll confirm once I get the vehicle back on the ground. We'll take it for a little drive, and hopefully she's sounding great and the power steering isn't cutting in and out like it was before. Power steering pump replaced.